From the shining domicile that is Pittsburgh Comics, my old mannered comic shop owner Colin McMahon transforms into the world's greatest comic book talking TV host. Join us true believers for Comics Now!
Hey everybody, welcome to Comics Now for December 2017. Well, November was a real smashing success here at the store, as a lady proved by driving through my front window. So we're recovering. The store's operating normally. We just don't have a window. So please come and make jokes about my big plywood front end. I'm really enjoying it. But now we're well on the way into December, which is always fun. It's gift giving time, and the publishers are really wrapping up their years. First off, there's a big movie coming out this month, apparently something called Star Wars, if you're familiar with it. So to celebrate that, we're going to do double points on all Star Wars graphic novels throughout the month. And then leading into that, starting off with Marvel, being that they are owned by Disney, who also owns Star Wars, they're of course tying into the big Star Wars event with Star Wars The Last Jedi Storms of Krayt, which is going to give some backstory onto one of the major areas that the story takes place in the new movie. So if you want some backstory on that, this is going to be the book to read to see what all is going on. We also have a big one, Phoenix Resurrection, where Jean Grey Phoenix is coming back. She died long ago, I want to say the early 2000s, in Grant Morrison's X-Men run. And for a little while now, we've had a younger version of Jean Grey from the past who was brought to the future and has been kind of a new learning Phoenix without the Phoenix Force. Well, now Jean Grey is coming back full-blown, and we'll see where this goes. This is starting off Matthew Rosenberg, who I've talked about a lot. He did We Can Never Go Home, and Four Kids Walk Into a Bank is like the new shining star over at Marvel. And he's been given the task of bringing this one out. So that one looks good. We also have Marvel 2-in-1. We don't have a Fantastic Four book, but this is a book with The Thing and the Human Torch looking for the Fantastic Four. So this is by Chip Zdarsky, who's really coming on. He was an artist for the longest time, and now he's taken to writing. He started with Howard the Duck. He's doing Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man. Now he's adding this kind of Fantastic Four book. So if you're a Fantastic Four fan, this might be the one for you to get the feel of the Fantastic Four again. And hopefully they find them, and then we can have another Fantastic Four book. There's some other legacy books also coming out. This is kind of the end of the relaunch isn't the right word, but bringing forward all the beginnings of the legacy books for Marvel. And we have Black Bolt, Ms. Marvel, Generation X, Weapon X, Hawkeye, and Unbeatable Squirrel Girl are all getting their special legacy issues. All the regular covers have the special Marvel value stamp, so if you've been collecting those, I do have the books, you can paste them in and all sorts of fun stuff. So these are the last ones coming out with that. There's also a new miniseries coming out, Tales of Suspense, kind of taking the old title. It's Bucky and Hawkeye, Clint Barton, looking for Black Widow, who died during Secret Empire, but suddenly some people that were her enemies have mysteriously died, and things have been going on. So this is a little miniseries that might turn into an ongoing. Also, Amazing Spider-Man and Venom are doing a crossover called Venom Inc. So if you're a fan of those guys, this is going to be something you're going to want to keep an eye on. We also have a neat book. It's by Pittsburgher Ed Piskor, and it's called X-Men Grand Design, where he is, through the course of 6 oversized issues, going to be putting X-Men history into one story, just kind of tying everything together to make it one readable story. And this is going to be coming out for the next while. I think it's the next couple of years. So the first issue of this one comes out in December, and it's really, people are very excited about it. DC. Now, DC still has some stuff going on. Doomsday Clock 2 comes out at the end of December. Number 1 came out right before Thanksgiving and was my largest ordered book ever for a regular non-promotional, like free comic book day type book. And it really delivered. It was a really neat story, a sequel to Watchmen, and really paid off. It was really good. So we're very excited about the second part of that. We also have Metal returning. They kind of took off November to let Doomsday Clock have its own spotlight, so we're getting back in with Metal number 4 and the one-shot Hawkman Found, which, from what everybody is saying, is a really, really important issue. So this has been going along really well, hugely popular. So we're getting back in the swing of things with metal. A couple other neat things that are coming from DC. We have a Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover. This is the second one that they've done. The first one did really, really well, so I see no reason the second one won't be just as popular. We also have the DC Universe Holiday Special. And what this is just a bunch of little short stories, holiday-themed stories, written by a lot of top creative teams. I saw there was a Neil Adams story. There's a real neat Tom King, Francesco Francavilla, Sergeant Rock story that takes place during Christmas. So just lots of neat little books. These are always do really, really well. Action Comics. Oz Effect ended, and the way it ended brought back Booster Gold coming from the future to the past, trying to prevent Superman from doing something that he'll regret. Of course, he arrived 2 minutes too late. Superman had already gone off to do something, and now Booster Gold has to try to figure it out. Booster Gold is a time traveler. He's kind of a doofus. He means well, but doesn't always do the right thing, so it's fun to see him. This is really his first appearance in Rebirth. He had a little bit to do with New 52, but kind of disappeared early on. So it's neat that he is now back in the DC universe. Batman, we have a neat little two-parter. It's Batman and Superman basically exploring their relationship. And it's actually going to be Comic Previews Theater, so stick around and get a little preview of that. But it's just real neat to see the dynamic between these two very different characters and how they relate with one another, especially now that they both have a significant other, which I think is going to play a major part in this little story. Clay Mann's doing the art. He's done a couple of the Batman run, most notably during the War of Jokes and Riddles. He did the Kite Man-centric issues, and he's really good on the big picture, big splash page, dynamic images. Really, really neat. Justice League. Justice League's been going along. It never really clicked on all cylinders so far in Rebirth, but they brought on a new writer, Christopher Priest, who has really been killing it on Deathstroke. People have really been liking how he's writing, so now he's taking over Justice League. So with a new writer, a new artist, Pete Woods, this one should give a fresh start. So if you didn't like the previous version of Justice League, give this one a try. Superman Family is going to be doing an event about the Super Sons, and it's going through Superman, Super Sons, and Teen Titans. So make sure if you were interested in this storyline, you ask me to hold those other ones, because they all kind of sell at different levels, so I don't necessarily have the same number of each title coming. Image has a bunch of neat stuff coming. We have The Return of Rumble, which was a really neat story about an ancient warrior, or ancient god of war, who came back into the present during a time of war, and he's basically he's like a scarecrow made up of a bunch of crows with this giant sword. And it did a real good run, and now it's coming back. Witchblade returns. Witchblade, big character in the 90s. This police officer who got this magical gauntlet that turns her into this Witchblade character. Well, things have changed. A new person now has this gauntlet, and so it's going to be a whole new story. This is written by Caitlin Kittredge, so it's going to be a little more female-focused, which is good. Just a little more female voice on a major female character, so this is going to be a good restart for this character. Bonehead is an interesting one. It's about a gang of like parkour-type people and how they deal with future technology and crime and things. Curse Words is getting a holiday special. So is Wicked and Divine. They're having a Christmas special, so those should be fun. Another book I got to read an advanced copy of, Paradiso, which is kind of post-dystopian or dystopian future where there's this wonderful city called Paradiso and everybody's trying to get in, but you have to know the right people or have special gifts. And this one character has this device that lets him fix anything mechanical. Well, you can see how that in a dystopian future where things are broken, he's very powerful and he wants to get in, but of course there's other people that want to steal this item from him. So really neat book, and that's coming out. Sleepless is a fantasy romance. We also have a Spawn, a holiday Krampus tale. Everybody's liking Krampus at this time of year. Maybe everybody's a little grouchy. So that's what's coming out from Image. Now also IDW has some interesting things. There's a new one called Assassinistas. Teenie Howard has kind of been making a little rumbling for herself. The first time I noticed her was on a book that she did called The Skeptics. That was from Black Mask. And now she's doing one called Assassinistas, where basically a college student's mom is a bounty hunter, and the student gets sucked in to her bounty hunter world and the chaos that that entails in this book. 30 Days a Night, which started, it was a movie pitch that he then had drawn as a comic to try to make it easier to pitch to the studio people so he would have something to show them. Well, he's kind of revisiting that and adapting it more to the story that he really wanted to tell as opposed to just the quick story pitch that it became. So we're revisiting that, and we're going to get a new version of the original 30 Days a Night from Steve Niles. Back to the Future is doing some little one-shot, this is Tales from the Time Train. It's just little stories from, I'm guessing, the 1800s regarding Back to the Future. Then Dark Horse has a couple interesting ones. We have Giants, which basically an ancient race of giants reappears on Earth and sends all of the humans underground. And so it's the story of how they're fighting against these ancient giants and trying to discover how a previous society had defeated them. And then we're also getting a Hellboy Krampusnacht adventure, so Krampus again showing up. Now some of the smaller publishers have some neat things coming as well. Boom has a book called Judas, which is basically exploring the biblical character Judas and kind of getting his side of the story. We have Claus, Crisis in Christmasville, continuing Grant Morrison's story of the origin of Santa Claus. Jim Henson is doing a new Storytellers Fairies. These have been really popular based on the idea of the old TV show of Storyteller and giving just these great stories of legend about fairies. They've done giants and dragons before that have done really well. So this one's fairies. And then Rocko's Modern Life. If you're a fan of the 90s cartoon, this book is for you. So, I'm not familiar, but people were excited about it. Archie has a neat one coming out, The Mighty Crusaders. I distinctly remember this from the 80s, but it even goes further back, where this is kind of the Archie's line of superheroes, where you had the Shield and the Fly and all sorts of characters. And it recently made an appearance on Riverdale, where Archie was digging through a chest in the attic and came across some old Mighty Crusaders comics. So this is coming out from Archie. Dynamite has an interesting one, Barbarella, based on the old Jane Fonda 60s movie, and they apparently felt that this was a good time to bring back that character. The fun part for me is I think it had 15 or 16 different covers, and I had to figure out who was going to want one, because basically they're all just nice pin-ups of the lead character done by a ton of really big artists in the business. So it was really hard to choose what to order and how many to order. So this one should be fun, just a good sci-fi adventure. Valiant Comics is bringing back probably their favorite superhero team. Quantum and Woody are coming back. Daniel Kibblesmith is, I believe, a TV guy who's now coming into comics, and he's written some stuff for them, so he's taking on these two goofy, it's a really goofy, fun adventure with two brothers who are basically superheroes. And Valiant is also giving us the Faith Winter Wonderland special, so we're keeping with the Christmas theme there with Valiant too. And then Aftershock has a couple neat ones coming out. The first one's Monstro Mechanica, which is basically Leonardo da Vinci in the Renaissance with his mechanical bodyguard and things going on with him having a giant robot in a time where you shouldn't really have robots. So this is going to be an interesting one. And then there's one called Backways. This is Justin Jordan, who lives out in Mechanicsville Way. And he's doing one where basically there's a hidden nation that lives in the attic and in the basement and haunted houses and things like that. And it's a story of them, how they deal with us humans and trying to survive while remaining hidden. So those are the main things I wanted to highlight as far as the comics coming out. It's a little slower month. Things toned down, but it's still a lot of big books, a lot of big events, a lot of neat stuff coming out. Christmas time is always fun for me because I do my 12 days of Festivus, and what starts on the 13th, every day I will have a different promotion, a different sale. So keep your eyes open for that. I'll be posting that online, but it starts on the 13th and the 12 days leading up to Christmas. So something different, so there might be different things. You'll want to come different days. Again, it's Star Wars month, so double points on all Star Wars graphic novels. There's a whole lot of them. Whole bunch of stuff to get you in the spirit or get you in the mood, or after you see the movie and you want more, there's plenty there. It's mostly stories that weren't in the movie, so it kind of expands on everything. And this month we're doing, for book club, we're doing a book called Happy. It was written by Grant Morrison and drawn by Derek Robertson. And It's the story of a police officer who, well, former police officer. He got kicked off the force. He's basically a drunk. He's just really down and out. And all of a sudden he's visited by this little blue flying horse whose name is Happy. We picked it because it takes place during Christmas, but also a new sci-fi series on Sci-Fi Network just started with Christopher Maloney as the cop and Patton Oswalt doing the voice of Happy the flying horse. So the first episode was already on. It was really good, and it's just a little 4-issue story, real easy. So if you're interested in the book club, come on down, say you're buying for book club. It's 25% off. Real quick read, but it was a really, really good story. And then you can come on the 29th when we're doing book club and talk about it, see what you liked, what you didn't like, things like that. So one other thing I wanted to talk about that's going on here at the store is that I have a new point-of-sale system. It's called Comic Hub. I'll be posting a lot about it online, but it's a real neat thing where it lets you interact directly with my system as far as ordering things, letting me know things that you want. There's an app you can put right on your phone. There's also a website. So it's a way to let you interact with me a little easier without relying on my memory, which I really like because the memory is going. And it's just a new system. So if I'm struggling a little bit here, we're trying to learn it. Of course, I fired it up the Wednesday before the lady crashed through the store, so it has not gone smoothly as far as learning it. We've had a lot of other things going on. So, but if you're interested in that, if you're interested in seeing what's coming out, things like that, it's going to be a real neat thing. I'm going to be able to let you know what's going on. A lot more specifically, hey, you bought this, you might be interested in this type of thing. So that's what's going on here at the store. It's also, yeah, so it has the app. It also is going to let me put all my inventory online. So you can do some shopping here at the store at 3 in the morning when I'm not here. So that's going to be fun. So, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. You can always email me at colin@pittsburghcomics.com. Get a hold of me on Facebook under Pittsburgh Comics. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram under PGH Comics. So I'm always easy to find. Please ask questions. I'd love to have questions to even answer on this. So, that's all I have for December. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for Comic Previews Theater. Thanks.
If he wants to, he'll call.
Or, darling, you could call him.
The documents numbers you asked for, Miss Lane. On the insurance filings for the railroads.
He's the one who?
He's engaged.
He should call.
Clark, just because he should call doesn't mean you shouldn't call.
I'm busy.
Oh, you're busy.
What? I am busy.
Right. And I'm sure he's just sitting at home right now, twiddling his thumbs.
I don't see why I need to call him. Pretty funny. It's really Batman complain about pop culture.
It's the same, but it's from the same in Catwoman saying you really should call him.
Yeah, that's.
It was really, really well done.
Yeah, he is good.
It was a very good